Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leads About podcast. Today, I have a back-to-back three-peat here with women with an incredible story. One of the most inspiring, empowering, and goosebump-inducing stories I've had the pleasure of having on my podcast over the last almost 3 years and over 200, close to 280 episodes. And that is my good friend Saidi. Wow, we did 2 wonderful episodes with her. I highly recommend you guys go and watch those. We connected in the service circle, what was it, a couple of months ago. My favorite
Yeah.
communities in the world from the first as soon as she even came on because on that community you have a couple of minutes to tell who you are, what you're looking for, what's your business. And as soon as I heard the story, I said, I need to connect with her. We connected on the first call. I was blown away, and it was she was on my podcast, and this is the third time she's in. So a little bit about her. She's traveling around the US in a shuttle bus, and today she's fighting the extreme heat plus what is it, 100 degrees in Idaho.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
But I'll take that over the minus 40. Let me tell you that. I'm sure you would too, you know. And we actually connected through our good friend Crystal Healy, because she was part of a multi-authored book that was released not long ago. And a little bit about her. She
Not
was
yet.
sorry.
Not released yet. Not released yet. August 24th.
Oh wow. Okay, send me the link when it does. Okay.
Okay.
So she's at a lifestyle that can be summarized with rock and roll, and that would be an understatement, because she was put for adoption at birth. Then she couldn't get along with her host family, and she was dealing with grief of loss of parents at such a young age, and she ran away from her host family, get into the streets, homeless, numerous times in jail, drugs, addiction, you name it. She's been through it, abusive relationships. I mean, the whole package, the whole combo. And we covered all of that in the first 2 episodes. And today we're going to cover another part of her story, and that is she worked for 12 years as an escort. So this is going to be another goosebump inducing episode. So well, it's going to be a good one. Saidi, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. So great to be here.
It's always a pleasure having you, talking to you, because again, it's, everything since the dawn of time, it's all been about stories, and you have an incredible story, and as we talked the last couple of times, your life has been anything but easy. It's been hard, challenging, painful, but as much as painful as it was, it's been a very what's the right word here? It's been as I like to say all the time, we all go through our fair share of pain, darkness, tragedy, challenges. Sure, there's a lot when you go to them, but then that becomes our story. Our story then becomes our gift. Then our gift becomes our duty and responsibility to share it with the world. You and I were both awakened. We understand that life is a school. We come here to learn lessons and grow, not only as a person ourselves, but also learning and growing. That's 5% of the reason we are here. The 95% is taking those gifts and then sharing them with others, so that we can all collectively rise and benefit. And in that term, you've had an incredibly full and fulfilling life in that way. Sure, it wasn't easy, but now you're in a stage to share those wisdoms, those gifts, those pearls with the world. So, and we talked about that last time. And so first thing I want to ask you is, you're probably not going to expect this question. How are you doing today?
Yeah, it's funny when you were just talking about it's been painful and it's been hard and it's been, whatever. And it's just like, yeah, I guess it was, in the beginning, but I'm just so not in that place anymore. It's just so, I've come so far, and I'm, even when things are challenging now, like literally 2 days ago, I was on the floor of my little bus out in the forest, just screaming and yelling just to, get some energy out, because I was feeling some frustration and some sadness and some sorrow. But now it's just, I don't know, it just isn't, it's not so debilitating like it used to be. Now it's just kind of a part of life, and it's part of our human experience. And I don't get so lost in it or attached to it or dragged down by it. I have the tools now to move through it. So things are freaking amazing. I'm doing awesome. I'm really just excited to be alive right now in this glorious adventure. Just like, wow, some of this stuff we never saw coming, and it's just like, whoa, really good, really good. So
Indeed.
thank you for
Indeed.
asking.
Pleasure's on mine, pleasure on mine, because at the end of the day, it's all about moments. What is life? Life is not, what matters is not the past or the future. What matters is the present, because life is a collection of presents both in the moment, but also present in the sense of a gift, because every moment is a gift, you know?
Yeah, yes.
So, today you want to talk to us about, you said 12 years as an escort. So how did you get into that in the first place? Tell us, what was your life prior to getting into that?
Prior, well, okay, so we talked about drug addiction and such in the last episode, and I what was it? I guess I was drinking at the time, but I wasn't on drugs. I was working in a corporate office, the corporate world. I had been clean for a while. I was drinking alcohol, but I was not on drugs like I was previously. So I made it into a big tall building downtown and thought that that was the thing, because that's what I was told we're supposed to get to, corporate world, whatever. So there I was in it, and it was it felt absolutely useless. I was just moving information around, basically from one person to another. It felt so lifeless and dull. And previous to that, I had been dancing at a exotic club, gentleman's club, and really loved doing that. But I ended up having, the alcohol was a little too much for me, but so that ended up not going so well. But in this corporate world, fast forward, I'd quit the dancing, but just I felt like the life was being sucked out of me, and I really desired to go back to start dancing again. And just on, it was just for a weekend thing. It wasn't like full time, but just to be back in that sensual atmosphere, to the music and getting to dress all sexy. I just had a lot of fun with that and really enjoyed it. So I did. I started doing that, and then for just like 2 nights a week. And people would ask me about, do I do private shows? And
Mm,
that was code for, will you come back to my place with me? And up until that time, I'd always said no. And I had a partner at this time, and I had told him about, being asked about this, and he was just like, oh, no, that's not okay. But then he thought about it, I guess, for a while. And at one point, just kind of out of the blue, he's like, I've been thinking about that, and that really wouldn't bother me, because he was into doing swinging stuff, which really wasn't
yeah.
much my thing at all. But I tried it a few times because he was really interested in it. But I don't think it's my thing so much. But he decided that he would be okay with me, doing private shows. So I was like, okay, so let's explore that. And the first opportunity I had, I said yes. And so I went and spent some time with this person and had a great time, had a lovely time, lovely connection, doing something I really enjoy doing. And got paid very well for it. So it was just like, well, this is kind of a no-brainer.
Sure.
So, and then I discovered there's places online where you can advertise these services. So I was just like, well, shoot, okay, because I wasn't about to go stand on a street corner somewhere, like that wasn't right. That's
Sure.
it. Things have come a long way. It's a very different world now. So
And sorry, and at
So
this
that's,
time, was that at the time that you were working at your corporate job, or? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
which didn't last too long after, discovering this new
Sure.
amazing, exciting, fun way of making a whole heck of a lot more money, so I was just like,
Well, making
why
in
am I
one night what you would make probably in an entire month, probably, or in two
yeah,
nights,
yeah,
something like this. Yeah.
seriously. So it was really a no-brainer. This other job just sucked the life out of me. It was just dead. So yeah, before long, I was just all in and yeah, making a really good amount of money. Within a few months, I was able to buy a house. I bought a
Cash.
new vehicle. I was traveling,
Wow.
to other countries now, and just all of a sudden, just like that, my life just turned completely around, and I had this such freedom that I hadn't had before. Um, so yeah, and that was just kind of the start of it. And then it wasn't too long after that, maybe a couple years, that I got sober and quit drinking. So then it turned it, and I got really onto my spiritual path. So that started taking everything in a very different direction for me. It was no longer like I was intoxicated, just having fun. I started bringing a lot more consciousness into what I was doing and really shifting how I worked with people and having more intention, and more a much more spiritual, awareness to it, and recognizing, and this is where I just started recognizing how much work needs to be done in our society around sexuality, how much guilt and shame and kind of repression there is around our sexuality. So I was kind of on a mission now to change that for my clients and help them to clear any issues they had around that. So that's how that started. So then it was then it was a very different ballpark. It was just fun in a different way, so
Yeah.
yeah.
One, what do you call it? Pitfall that quite a lot of girls in that industries, whether it's in the in the strip clubs or in the escort industry, they fall into is the party lifestyle, drinking and having drugs, and you having just overcome this. How do you manage to stay away from that and not get back into drinking and drugs? Because how do you manage to not fall back into that?
Well, the drinking was certainly there in the beginning when I started with the escorting and the dancing and such,
Sure.
but once I was done drinking, I was just done. Nothing was going to take me back. And the drugs, nothing was going to take me back either. Like that was just done, so it wasn't even a question for me. I Yeah, I didn't ever have that. For me, once those things were done, they were just done. And that there was a lot of struggle up until that point, with the back and forth and trying to get sober, trying to get clean, trying to whatever, and not being successful. But once it was done, there was no turning back. So that's never been a concern. And again, like the way I work with people, the way I presented myself was very different. I wasn't seeing people that were in that type of lifestyle. And people have that idea of sex work that it's all like that. It's all just a big drug fest, and it's not. There's a lot of women in the industry that are offering a very different experience, and men that are interested, and women that are interested in a deeper connection and just looking um for love and connection and real not the stereotypical, not just looking to get off. For the most part, people
Mhm.
are really looking for a much more genuine connection, which is
Absolutely.
something I was offering.
Mhm.
So drugs weren't even in the picture. It's not like they would have just arrived, or I mean, occasionally somebody would bring a bottle of wine, but it's like, oh, I don't drink. So it was just so not in the realm at that point.
Yeah, speaking of connection, one thing I keep hearing from people and also listening to on videos and all that is that there's mostly two type of services people are looking when they try to get hire an escort. One is to have the porn star experience, and two is to have a girlfriend experience. But most are looking for that girlfriend experience. So, and you were offering
absolutely.
mostly that, I guess, the girlfriend experience, that
Yes.
connection and all that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there was some sessions I had where it was just talking, we just
Yeah,
talked. So, yeah,
that's
definitely.
what people are looking for,
Yeah.
someone to talk to, because people want to be heard, especially from an attractive women. That's what people, especially some of these men, are looking for. They may be successful in the other parts of their lives, but not so much in relationships, and they're just looking for someone to talk to and feel heard.
And that feminine energy,
Yes,
there's something like, I mean, masculine and feminine, we're just drawn to each other, regardless of what gender you are. It's part of our makeup, and we just kind of long for that other half of ourselves, basically, so yeah, and some people, it works really well to just have that. They don't want a relationship. They've got too much going on in their lives, but they still want that kind of connection and some intimacy on occasion without all the complications,
the drama.
like
Yeah,
just, yeah, I mean, relationships are challenging, and you don't just go out with somebody once and go, okay, thank you, see you, it starts something, so it entangles you. And with an escort or a companion, the boundaries are so freaking clear. It's just like, I'm paying you for this time, I'm paying you for this experience, I'm donating money to this experience, and then that's it. And now I walk away, and I don't need to soothe you afterwards. I don't need to, have a bunch of texts, and I don't know, it's just so nice. It's just such
I
a
know.
freedom.
You
Yeah.
know, you said something powerful, and that is the masculine and feminine energy. Men and women, we're not meant to compete against each other. We're meant to complement each other, because, as a man, I have certain qualities as women do not have, and vice versa. We complement each other. We come together, yin and yang. That's why we're created. Whether you believe in religion or not, it's not about religion, but spirituality and just nature. You know, and when you see that feminine energy, we all need it. We all crave it, or that masculine energy.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, nature just is. Our universe is made up of masculine and feminine energies, like all different, like the elements, fire, water, earth, air. It's just what it is. So yeah, there's that dance, that ongoing dance. And yeah, for me, craving the masculine energy, it was an excellent way for me to get my own needs met, and have good, strong boundaries. I've always been that person who monogamy was not my thing, when I was younger. And I, like in high school, having a boyfriend and then ending up being with somebody else, cheating on them. And because I was always interested in new, fresh energies and having different experiences. And at that age, I didn't know how to explain that. We're only really handed one model of how a relationship is supposed to look like. And especially if you're a female and you're out exploring other options at the same time, you're a slut. You're slut shamed, and it's just not supported. You need to be with one person. You're not supposed to have sex with them, just be with them, until you're married, all these things. And just, so I didn't follow those rules. So I was always getting myself into trouble, and really messing up my relationships, and having a really hard time with that, and really thinking there was something very wrong with me. Why couldn't I get this together? Why couldn't I just be with one person? And this allowed me this gorgeous outlet to explore all the things that I wanted to explore, to have different experiences without feeling shame, without any entanglement myself. I did get to have very clear boundaries, and just like, oh, it worked great for me, for how my energy works. Some people, that's not how their energy works, and that's great. But again, we've been handed one model of what it's supposed to look like, and it's this monogamy. You meet your person, that's the only person you're with forever. And how many people do we see that actually work out for? We just don't. So
Mhm,
um yeah, it was a great outlet for me. I really loved it, just loved it.
mhm. So when you were in that environment, that universe, how is that affect? That's a great segue. How is that affecting your relationships with your boyfriends or your partners at the time? Were you able to bond with them? Was that affecting them, and how, because at the end of the day, the intimacy you're having with these men that were paying you, it was a job. How were you able to make the distinction between a job and then your private life and having sex with your partner and actually enjoying it?
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's to say I didn't enjoy it with my clients. I mean, I absolutely did. Why would I be doing that if I wasn't? And it's just the same as if you're having a great conversation at work with a coworker and having an excellent time. You don't go home to your partner and get confused about that relationship with your coworker and your
Sure.
partner, right? There was no confusion for me. The confusion was for my partners for sure. But enjoying sex, I can enjoy sex with a number of different people, and it's not going to affect how I feel about somebody emotionally. My partner, the person I choose to spend my time with, is the person I'm in love with and you have an emotional connection with. That my clients, I can have amazing sex with them and not be emotionally, attached to them. When they walk out the door, then that's it and that's done. And there's no confusion on my part. I don't have to be emotionally involved with somebody to enjoy sex with them.
Sure.
So and that was hard for some of my partners to appreciate and understand, because they felt like there was got to be something going on, or but there really wasn't. And I'm there just wasn't. So it's kind of funny, and that is part of what I was trying to, my message when I was escorting and trying to bring more consciousness to sexuality, is that the two are not mutually exclusive. You don't have to be in love with somebody to enjoy sex with them, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be in relationship with them. We can enjoy our sexuality in a number of ways, and sexuality can look a number of different ways. It's not just this cookie cutter thing, and it's not the same for every single person.
Sure.
And if somebody is having a problem with that, that's really their own shit. And this is what I would try to tell people. This happened with my husband, because this is what I was doing when I met him. And initially he said, yeah, I'm totally cool with this. This is great. But after some time went on and he got more involved with me, it wasn't okay. And then he started getting jealous and really just completely losing it, a real mess. And that was a real challenge for me, because nothing had changed for me on my end. I mean, I was doing this for years and not emotionally involved with my clients, because if I was, clearly I would have been with them, right? It's just like, but I wasn't. I was single and working. So when I met the love of my life, it was very, I was in love. That's what it was. And
How did
work
you
was
meet him?
separate.
How and where did you meet him?
It was a coffee shop that I used to go to pretty much daily, and he was there a lot. We'd been seeing each other for like a year before either one of us made a move and said
Who made the first
something.
move? Who made the first move?
I did, of
Wow. What did you
course.
tell us? Tell us. Tell us. What happened?
Well, it's funny. He was sitting right next to me. Well, maybe a table over or something, and he had a bag, with him, and it had a little insignia, a little patch on it, which is, and it's a band, Einstürzen Neubauten. I don't know. It's like a German industrial band from the 80s. They're still around, but kind of obscure. Not a lot of people listen to this. So I saw that patch on his bag and I was just like, oh my gosh. So I said something to him. I was just like, wow, I wonder if they're still touring. And he didn't say anything or move or anything. And I just felt like so ridiculous. So I kind of like moved back over. And at that, he looked over. He had his earbuds in.
Didn't hear you. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he couldn't hear me at all. But then he took out, he's like, what? And so then I repeated it. And then we just started talking and we were off on this conversation. And then from then on, we were with each other every day. So it was just like, broke the seal there, I guess. So yeah, we're not together anymore. And part of what destroyed that was that jealousy. And he couldn't believe that I really loved him as much as I did, and that I wasn't interested in somebody else. So that kind of forced me to change who I am to fit into what he needed and to fit into our marriage in a different way. And then I was just kind of turning into all the things that I'd been trying to teach other people not to turn into, and bringing more consciousness to everything. And, but relationships are challenging and they're difficult, and especially where sexuality is
Sure.
involved, and being with other partners. And so that jealousy really, I'd say it really destroyed a lot of what we had in the beginning, me having to constantly defend the fact that I do love you. I do love you. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm
It's a
not doing
job.
anything
It's a
wrong.
job with these people,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And feeling like almost shamed for what I was doing, and told that it was wrong. And that's exactly what I've been pushing back against. There's nothing wrong with our sexuality. There's nothing wrong
Mhm.
with having sex with people. There's nothing wrong with enjoying sex. There's nothing wrong with our bodies. There's nothing wrong with expressing. And we've been taught so much shame and guilt around our sexuality. And so then, it started happening to me, and then I started embodying it and started getting urinary tract infections. And because I just was in so much, it just, my body started reacting and it wasn't healthy. And then I started shutting down. So I learned like on the other side of it, really, which I feel was an important lesson to go through all of that. And so now I am moving my work in much more of a working with women around sexuality and relationships. And I feel like that experience was a very important piece of how I work with people and how I'm going to be working with people from here on out. Yeah, I'm so freaking passionate about our sexuality and how much power we have in that energy and how much it's been stolen from us. And there's so much fear in it and so much shutdown and denial and repression. And I'm on a mission to help us reclaim that.
Why do you think society has been trying to suppress that sexuality? Because sex is one of the basic needs that we all have as humans.
It's our power. It's our power.
Yeah,
It is how we connect with each other. It is our creative life force energy. We don't have to be using our sexual energy to have sex. We use it to create. It's
sure.
creativity. It is our passion. It's our life force energy. And when that's been so shunned and tainted and perverted, it perverts all of us. We can't just shut down a little bit of it without shutting down all of it. It flows throughout. If we were super strong in our sexual power and connecting with each other and expressing and in our passion and purpose like that without any hindrances, oh my gosh, we'd be the gods that we are, we really would be. So
Mm.
I think that's why, it's our power, it's our life force, and that it's been very systematically, intentionally stripped from us. And so that's why I feel like I'm on a mission here to bring us back, to help us reconnect to that part of ourselves.
Yeah, there is a very, very popular Brazilian song that says exactly that. The song is called Sexo Amore Sorte, meaning sex is a sport, love is luck. I'll send you the link to that video. It's
Right.
absolutely very relaxing, very nice song. But it is exactly that, because it's at the end of the day, that's just like you said, it's how we connect, it's our energy, it's how we, we express ourselves, it's how we create, not just create in terms of, procreation, but also create energies, connections, and new things. So one thing that, um, when you were working in the as an escort, or as a as a dancer, did people around you know about it, or it was just something that you just kept for yourself?
Oh yeah, that's a great one. And this is what really plays into the shame and the guilt.
Mm.
For me, I did tell my family that I was dancing, but I did not tell them
I
about
mean,
the
the family
Escorts.
with which your foster family, or your
Yeah, my adopted family.
okay.
Yes. Yeah, I did tell them about the dancing. I felt okay about that, but I didn't tell them that I took it to the next level.
And were they
And
supportive? Were they supportive?
when I finally came out, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got to the point where I just couldn't be in shame anymore because it was again like that. You can't shut down a little piece of yourself without shutting down so much of yourself. So me, that was such a huge piece of my life, what I was doing, and to not be able to share it with my family, I had to keep so much of myself quiet and small and not really connect with them from a whole place. So it really affected me and I felt horrible about it, but I just didn't the more that time went on, the harder it got to be to bring it up, and we
How
create this in
long,
our head.
how long did you keep it a secret?
Like 8 years.
Holy wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, they didn't live anywhere near me. I mean, I didn't
Sure,
see
yeah,
them very often. It was easy to,
yeah.
not bring it up,
Sure.
but it felt horrible inside, it really felt horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
And then yeah, not being able to share with other people too, because there's such stigma in our society, like are people going to be accepting or when I was going to school, I went, many degrees. It's not like I was going to tell my instructors what I'm doing, or bring it up in the classroom because again, I didn't want that judgment or weirdness or, anything. So I really had to hide a lot of myself. So but once I did share, it was great. I just got to the point where I'm like, I can't live like this anymore. It's killing me. The energy is not good. So I have to share this. And I took my mother, we went to lunch and I was just like, Mom, I've got something to tell you.
No,
And
I'm
she
not
was just like,
pregnant.
yeah, exactly. It wasn't that, and she was just like, oh, and I was like, it's nothing bad. I'm not sick. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. Um, I said, I've been an escort for the last how many years? And she's like, well, we knew that.
Really? Wow. How did she knew that?
They just put it together. She's like, well, you were a dancer, and now you've got all this money. You're buying a house. You're traveling to India all the time. I
Ah,
mean, we kind of just figured it out. So or we assumed, we kind of put two and two together. And I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't you say anything to me? So I didn't have to be hiding this. So, but that's my family. We just don't talk about things.
hmm.
And then I called up my aunt and I told her about it. And she was kind of excited for me. She's just like, wow, that's awesome. So I got such support from my family. It was great. And I've been supported by everybody that I've told, they're just like, wow. And more than anything, they just have questions, they just want to know. So,
The people that really love you and care for you, they will be supportive. Those that don't, well, they don't matter anyways. So
right. Right.
that's my philosophy. So you said you kept it inside for 8 years. What was a turning point for you that said, you know what, enough is enough. I have to say it. I have to get it out of my chest. Was it a specific moment or was it something that was just building up and you couldn't hold it anymore?
Yeah, no, it had been building for sure, but it just got to a point where I was at in my spiritual path where I was just getting so much more confident in myself and just so much more like, this is me, this is who I am. I have to own it. I have to be in it because I couldn't advance, any further. I just like that was the place I was at where I just had to start being me and being authentic at whatever cost. So and taking those chances and just facing my fears. So so I did, and it turns out that it was just not a big deal at all because it's amazing the torture that I put myself through
Sure.
and how bad I felt about myself for that, it's just kind of crazy what we'll do to ourselves. But then the freedom afterwards, oh my gosh, I felt like when I had my family's support, my family backing me and just like, yeah, that's awesome. Holy shit, that just changed everything, I just was like, wow, yeah, it's such freedom, such freedom. It was so
Yeah.
good, so good.
And that time before coming out, when someone asked you, so Saidi, what do you do? How do you answer that question?
I'd go to school.
What are you studying?
Yeah. Well, and I was going to school. I was going to, my first degree is in gerontology, and then my second degree is in social work. My master's is in thanatology. So
Wow.
I was in school. So, that was not, when you say that, I mean, that's it. People don't really take it any further. So, and people usually didn't ask what I did anyway. So it's kind of funny because I always got concerned, but it rarely actually came up because I didn't ask them. This is one of those things where it's just kind of how we do conversation. So what do you do? Oh, and what do you do? If I don't ask them, they don't ask me. That tended to be the way it worked out. So
Wow.
yeah, I got it figured out.
What is thanatology again? Oh, studying grief in the process of transitioning. Okay, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The study of death and dying and bereavement. Yeah. Which is
Okay.
also, that's such a Scorpio thing, sex and death. I am just
Oh, yes.
totally freaking Scorpio. So
Oh, now it makes sense. I read that the most sexual signs of the zodiac are Scorpios, Libra. I am a Libra, and Leos, and I can see that.
that's funny because I have 3 planets in Scorpio and 3 in Libra. Oh my gosh.
Oh
That's
yeah,
awesome.
with
Yeah.
fireworks. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes.
Love it. Love it. That's funny. And Leo is in my 7th house, which I was just reading about today. That's the relationship house,
Mhm.
partnerships. So, because yeah, always more to learn about the astrology chart. Yeah, it just comes very natural to me that the sexuality piece and wanting to explore that and especially and like death, it's just these taboos in our societies. So that's just kind of my natural stomping grounds and where I'm drawn to and where I like to be in the underworld basically.
Yeah.
But I just it's for me it's just so much about bringing greater awareness to both of these areas of our lives, sex and death, those things we don't want to talk about or that have
Mhm.
gotten shunned and shamed, somehow in our society
Sure.
made out to be the bad taboo things, but they're beautiful parts of our experience and to be celebrated and talked about and explored and understood. And I mean, I don't know if we'll ever like understand, but not to be put in the dark. So that's it.
One thing.
And this
Go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead.
No, no, go
Oh,
ahead.
I was gonna say that the both of these experiences in our lives are extremely spiritual experiences,
Sure.
death and sex. The union that happens when you come together and bring those energies together in sexual intimacy. And this has nothing to do with like emotional love. It's just the energies of it. It is very cosmic and spiritual, and there's such a opportunity there for spiritual awakening and expansion and taking you into other worlds and into other experiences of our humanity, and that's what is really I think so fascinating about sexuality. There's so much freaking potential when we can take it out of that 3D, just banging away type of thing. There's amazing potential for a lot of awakening and growth there and just such
Sure.
expansion. Amazing.
You mentioned you connected death and sex. In French, you know what we call orgasm? We call it the small death.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I've heard that before. Yep. I
Yeah.
love that.
It is like an accumulation and then
Yes. Yes.
it's very similar. Yes. You know, um, One thing that I want to know is while you were doing working in the whether as a dancer or as an escort, we approached to do porn, shooting movies and all that.
You know, not really.
Okay.
I
Because that would
think
have
people
been the next logical step.
Yeah, and I think it's not a logical step if you're being
Okay.
conscious around sexuality. That's not to say you can't have conscious porn, of course, but a lot of
Sure.
porn is not conscious and there's not
Mhm.
really depicting not natural, depicting healthy. It's more about just getting off, it's not about a connection. It's not about bringing consciousness. It's not about spiritual awakening, it's just getting off, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's not what I'm saying, but it wasn't where I was going with this, and what my yeah, I mean, and there's something to be said for porn. It can be very sexy and just fun to watch. I do not want to shame porn at all. I think some of it is not healthy in the way that it trains us into thinking that sex is a certain way, or that it always has to be. It's very addictive.
Sure.
And so I think just porn, like anything, when used in moderation and with a healthy, approach to it, can be great. But
What is moderation
so,
for porn?
that's going to depend on each person, right? So I don't know. I can't tell you that for you, and that's what I was going to say. Like, people, like, we know when we're just having a glass of wine on occasion, or when we're drinking way too much. So, that's going to be different for everybody. But, when we're having an unrealistic um expectations around what sex looks like, when we're not able to actually fully connect with our partner because we're too much in fantasy around the porn that we've been seeing, when we need porn to get off and we're no longer able to come into our own bodies and feel pleasure without that external stimulus, that's when there's a concern, I think. And a lot of people do this. They get way too into the porn so they can no longer actually connect with a human being anymore, a real person. So that's the problem. They get
Mm.
dependent on it. Just like if you're too dependent on alcohol, or too dependent on movies or screen time,
Coffee,
anything.
whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of connection, and you mentioned earlier that most of your clients, they were looking for that connection, and quite a lot of them just wanted to talk. So did any of those guys, became repeats, and as a result of that, starting developing feelings for you, and how did you handle that?
Yeah, that absolutely happened. And that definitely, that can be a challenge for sure. Yeah, that can be a slippery slope, and it kind of depended on. I had a couple of clients that were, definitely more than just the regular clients. We did develop more of a connection for sure. But it was still all within a boundary time limit, so and I was always clear about those limits. So I think just being very clear, and because it's easy, sometimes the lines can get a little blurred, but so it's really my responsibility to keep those lines clear and sharp, and not, if more of a friendship develops,
Mm.
that's okay. And I know that people would have wanted to take it further, but I wasn't in that space. Again, I was very clear about what I was doing there, and it was a job for me. Even, it's just like, you can be at work and be especially excited about that one day where that one coworker is there, right? You're like, oh, today's going to be an awesome day because I get to work with so and so, but you still have the work boundaries. You're still in that
Uh-huh.
work thing, or maybe you go out afterwards to get a cup of coffee or something, or a drink, or I don't know. But usually it's like it stays in that work zone, So it was kind of like that. So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I was always very clear about what I was doing there. So it kept the lines pretty clear, pretty clear.
And did they accept it easily, or were they
Oh
still
yeah,
trying
yeah, yeah.
to, try to push through that, and see if they can get something more out of
Yeah,
it?
no, that didn't really happen. And again, I think it's really how a person creates the situation. There are some people that just would be involved in that situation. They don't have clear boundaries for themselves anyway, so it's gonna get messy. And then people try to push boundaries. I saw that happening a lot with the other women that were doing this, and they weren't able to say no and hold boundaries strongly. So that meant if they weren't able to, then people were going to push them. And it's almost like they attracted that in. I mean, people
Uh,
will find those dynamics. It's just like in relationships, at normal relationships. you attract in what you are, where you're vibrating at, the frequency you're at. You're going to attract in something that matches that frequency. So because I was clear in boundaries and didn't give people an option to cross them, it didn't really happen, and maybe somebody might try to push a little bit, but it was just like, hey, that's not going to work. And then that was it, um, so yeah, and that's why, like, some people have been interested, like, oh, how did you get into escorting? Tell me how to do that. And it's just like, yeah,
Launch a
no.
course, launch a course. I'm
Right?
joking, I'm
Oh my
joking,
God.
I'm
Oh my
joking,
God.
I'm joking.
Well,
Yeah.
it takes a very strong person, and it's not
Yeah,
strong. I mean, you have to be strong in your boundaries, and so
sure.
many people aren't able to have healthy relationships outside of that. So they're going to attract in the same thing, and they're going to get themselves into trouble. And so I was never one to promote that or to support that. I think it's something that each person needs to come to on their own. If that
Mhm.
really feels like the right thing for them, they'll be supported in that. But um, yeah,
So
yeah.
when you were working as an escort for 12 years, were you working mostly locally, or were you also traveling around the US, or even maybe being flown away to meet clients in other places, other countries? Or
No,
did you
I
get
was pretty,
offered that?
not really.
Mm,
It sounds very glamorous and lovely, but no. I mean, I did go on some trips with some clients, but it was local in the States. Well, no, I guess I went to Mexico. Okay, so yeah, I did a little bit of traveling, but mostly I was really comfortable working in my home, staying
sure.
where I was comfortable with everything, and
Mhm.
was just very that gave me even more control of my situation and what I was doing, because it was my home turf, so I had control of everything, and that was felt very healthy for me and a good way to work. So I got more concerned when I would go to a hotel or something like that. It just felt I don't know, kind of weird.
How did you ensure your safety? Did you ask, for example, before a client arrived, you called a friend and told them, hey, call me in an hour, call me in 2 hours to check up on me? Did you have any system to ensure that you were safe, nothing would happen to you?
And this is another thing where I just wouldn't recommend this to people, but I
Mm,
mean, once you know what you're doing, you just I don't I my intuition is strong. I trusted it. I trusted and I had screening in place. Of course, there was so I can tell a lot from a person in just their email, but there was screening that would happen before, or that could happen before, that made it look like I had maybe looked into them a little bit more, but mostly I was just trusting my intuition, and everything was fine. I never had any problems. So,
Did you do
you
like
know,
a video call with them first to make sure they're normal, they're not crazies?
no.
Mm,
Again, you can tell so much from an email. You read emails all the time, you can tell something from a person pretty quickly, and there would be things like getting stupid emails like, "Are you available?" That kind of tells me everything I need to know. That's shallow. There's nothing going on there. There's no depth to it. That's going to be exactly what the connection is going to be like. So, then a nice gentleman connects with me. Hi, I'm so and so. I do blah, blah, blah. I really am attracted to this that you offer and the way that you present yourself. And I think that we have this in common. I would really like to spend some time with you and just enjoy some feminine energy.
mm,
That tells me a lot about a person right there,
sure.
I mean, it's just like, okay, that's thoughtful. They, have introduced themselves to me. They've told me a bit why they're reaching out, where they're at. That just says so much, so much. So you
Mm,
really learn to read these emails, and so that was that for me. So I
yeah.
didn't do a lot, get too crazy with.
Did you have any, you know, crazy requests or anything from guys?
I had a couple, but mostly, again, it's just not the energy that I put
Mm,
out. So I did not get it like some people do. I think some people are just really, some women are into that. They're totally open to catering to a bunch of different types of requests. And I was probably pretty vanilla, just kind of so it wasn't, really my thing. And that's portrayed in how I presented myself. There's ways where you can invite things in without even having to say words, it just, how that goes. It's our energy. We can read a lot from a person's energy and how they're presenting themselves, so and if somebody did ask for something that just wasn't my thing, that just I would just say that, like, oh, thank you so much for asking, that's just not really what I'm interested in, but there's plenty of other people out there, good luck with your search, so just nice saying that. And
Were you entertaining
because
mostly men or also open to women as well?
yeah, men. I love women, but they just didn't seem to be necessarily
Mm,
all that attracted to me in that sense. And there's not a lot of women out there looking for services, really.
sure.
Um, there was a couple, but mostly not. So yeah, yeah.
And the women that would hire an escort, what are they looking for? Is it more like the connection or the
Yeah,
intimacy?
I think so. And just feeling safe, safe to explore with somebody who um is comfortable with sexuality, Um, so I think, yeah, I think that's it. Just a safety, really. And yeah, just feeling okay to explore themselves, So yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
How would having sex with a man with opposite gender differ from having sex with, say, a woman of the same gender?
I don't understand the question.
So is there any differences between, having sex with the opposite sex versus the same sex?
Oh, I guess just mechanically, it's different.
Other than that, yeah, I mean, in terms of the feelings, the emotions, because I don't know, I'm just that just popped into my head, and I just wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, there was the comfort level was
Mhm.
different with women because I haven't been with as many women. So I guess there was just
Mm,
that. But you know, but other than that, I mean, still like open to explore and just again that connection, the beauty of getting to touch another human body. I mean, that is just there were so many times when would be with clients where it was just like, this is freaking magical. This is absolutely stunning to be able to touch another human being in such a way, and I think there's like bringing that reverence to it and that appreciation and gratitude, which I think is so missing, when we come together a lot of times, oftentimes just not being in such gratitude and appreciation. But um so it's the same, it was the same in that sense, just bringing that that reverence to what I was doing and how I was connecting with the person, which is how I always tried to be. Of course, it wasn't always, but really wanting to be kind of like a sacred experience, the sacredness of getting to be with another human being. I think that's just so important for us to remember. And I really tried to instill that in my teachings and what I was, because I was trying to guide men as well around sexuality, and that was a big piece of it, was to help us to come back into our bodies, to be present with our partner, and to really just be in the moment instead of in our head, which is a lot of what sexuality is for so many people. They're very much disconnected from their bodies. So helping people to come back down into their bodies and to just really be present in the moment. So, and that's what I would try to do, even, regardless of who I was with. So yeah.
okay. Did you get approached at any time in those 12 years by gangs, for example?
That's funny. Yeah, I think there was a couple of times, and I'm trying to remember, um, maybe just like an email or
Whoa.
somebody following me or something, not following me, but like following my profile or something. I don't remember, but that was just so clearly not in alignment with me. It was just like, whoa, so um yeah, and I don't, it happens so rarely, like once or twice, that I don't even remember the details of it. So not
Mm,
really, you
mm.
know.
Did you at any time after a session with a client or during felt that what I'm doing, why I'm doing this?
Oh yeah. For sure. It's just like, I think we all have those days at work, right? Just like, what the
Bad
hell?
days at the
Is
office, yes.
is this really aligned? Is this really the thing? Or, because there were as much as I wanted to bring consciousness into what I was doing and to be doing it a different way. Of course, there would be clients that would show up that were just so not in that space, even though I thought the email was good, and we'd connected at a different level, and then it was just like, just feeling like kind of not appreciated for
Mm,
me as a human being, but more as just
sure.
a thing to have sex with. So days like that where it was just like, this like, that wasn't exactly how I wanted that to be. So, but like that again, it's just it was work, and that was what I would tell myself. It's like, we all have a weird day at work sometimes. It's just kind of what it is. They can't all be just amazing experiences, right?
You had any time after you pre-screen them, you had a good vibe from them before the meet, but once they show up, you got a different vibe, you turn down people?
I have actually a time or two asked people to leave. It's just like, this isn't working. We're not aligning here. Something's off. I'm not comfortable. If you wouldn't mind, just take your donation and you can go. Thank you. And that was always that. It really happened. I can remember one time, maybe twice,
Mm,
but that was pretty unusual. Yeah, yeah.
mm.
And it wasn't ever that I didn't feel safe. It wasn't that kind of a thing. It was more just like, I just don't want to be doing this with my body.
Yeah,
So
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Mm. Um, so you mentioned that you're advertising on a website to get your clients back then. Were you working as a freelancer? Did you have like a manager or a pimp or anything?
No, that's a funny word to me. No, it was just me. Just, yeah, freelance.
Okay. Were you approached
Yeah.
by any of those guys to try to manage you and help you?
Yeah, no, and I think that's what I thought you meant when you said gang. I think
Mm,
that's what I think I thought you meant when you said that. Um so I guess no on the gang, but yes on maybe on the pimp thing, just somebody reaching out like, hey, and I don't even remember what was said, but it was just like, oh my gosh, you just don't even respond to that. So
yeah.
yeah. But
Wow.
yeah, that's a way that 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 women fall into that kind of a situation, and that's so not good. That's so not good.
Mm. So
Yeah.
you said 12 years. What what made you leave the industry? Was it a specific incident or was it something that you were planning for your exit or?
No, no, that was my husband.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really thought that I would be doing that for quite a while longer, and I was moving it more in the direction of towards, at the end I was starting to do like healing sessions, energy healing with my clients to help with things like erectile dysfunction and blockages that people were having, and having really good results with the energy healing, and to help move that, to help clear some stuff, to help clear the energies, and to clear guilt and shame. And there's so much shit around this Christian society that we've grown up in. There is so much, and so much repression around what's expected in relationships and monogamy, and guilt and shame around having any sort of sexual desire, or the type of desire, how their sexuality is showing up. So um and just so many men, I can't even tell you how many just don't feel wanted and loved and cared for, and appreciated and valued, and they don't feel like their sexuality is appreciated or valued. And this really causes a lot of um, havoc on the body, the mind, the spirit, the heart. The heart shuts down. And I think this is a huge problem with men in our society. Women, we're all really shut down around our sexuality for different reasons, but it's all the same. It has the same effects. And I see this happen in relationships where both women and men shut down around their sexuality and don't know how to express it and don't know how to have the conversations around it. And so then it starts coming out sideways, or it just stops and doesn't happen. And then there's guilt and shame around that. And then, I mean, it's just a messy situation. So the energy healing and the guidance and moving in that direction was really, really empowering and lovely and exciting. So I thought I was going to be, and I just enjoy being with a variety of partners. Even though I was getting married, I didn't want to just be with one person for the rest of my life. I think I kind of talked myself into it because I was willing to explore it. Like, let's see, maybe this is okay. But it went exactly in the direction I thought it was going to go. It just didn't go well.
So initially, your future husband was okay, and then eventually he said, "You know what? Enough of that." This is what happened.
Yeah, he would just get really he was very insecure, and he just had a lot of insecurities around me being with other men that had money and that had, successful careers and were, you know, whatever he wasn't. So he just really couldn't figure out or appreciate or get into his head that all these men were here before and I could have been with them if I wanted to. If I had wanted more, they would have wanted more, but those weren't the people I wanted to be with. I wanted to be with my husband, and he just couldn't really get that into his head. And he was just constantly worrying that I was going to leave him for somebody else. It's just like, I would have already been with somebody else, so and I told him, he's like, if you just quit doing that, if you just weren't escorting, everything would be fine. There'd be no problems. I'm like, that's absolutely not true. You will find something to be concerned about because this is an internal situation. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing. This is your own internal insecurities. And sure enough, I quit doing what I was doing and it didn't change for him. It was no longer necessarily a jealousy thing, but it was other ways. And the jealousy still came out in other ways too, in other areas. So, these again, if people are having jealousies and issues around their partners or, whatever, that's an internal thing. It has nothing to do with the partner and what they're doing, that's a personal journey and personal healing work that needs to happen there. It's very important. And if you're the one, for the audience out there, that's having jealousy around your partner or they're having jealousy around you, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's work that needs to be done. There's a lot of healing work that needs to happen there.
So speaking of that, what is your work now? What is your business now?
It's still healing sacred feminine. And yeah, I'm offering my programs. I'm kind of gearing everything towards moving into this sexuality and relationship piece now. I got a lot of clarity around that. I think I was kind of a little, I don't know. I just didn't know how to, I wasn't ready to focus in, narrow it in so much, and wasn't sure what that was going to look like. But now I'm getting clarity on that's definitely. Sexuality has been a thing my entire life, and that's just what I'm super passionate about. So I am excited to start moving my programs into that direction and start working with people more on that level and really around the relationship level. Because that's what it's all about. We're in relationship with absolutely everything. It's not just our partners. It's not just romantic relationships, but relationship with our family, with friends, with work, with ourselves. So really, how we relate to one thing tends to be the way we relate to everything. So if we're having challenges, Yeah, it's a rich area. It's a really rich area. So I'm excited to support people around it, especially around that sexuality piece too.
You work mostly with men or women or both?
Women. Yeah, I'm open to working with men though. Everything that like on my website says healing sacred feminine, but I am definitely, because that's what I was doing before, was working with men. So I'm open to exploring that again for sure. I think yeah, we are all in the same boat right now. We all need support, shoot.
Sure.
So yeah.
You
Yeah.
mentioned that so many men feel that their sexuality is not appreciated, their sexuality is shut down, and they don't know how to express that and have that conversation. Listening to that and talking to people around me, successful men in every area of their lives. Some of them are married, some of them have girlfriends, but they always have they suppress their sexuality. And that's where someone like you, for example, was dealt, we worked for 12 years in the, sex industry, understand men in and out, inside out. That there's a big demand right now for a specialist like you to come in and coach these men to make them get, first of all, to realize and accept that sex is okay. It's not bad. It's the most beautiful thing ever. Even if it's just, with someone you just hire for an hour or two, whatever. It's a basic need. Just like we go to a restaurant, have food, go whatever. It's a basic need, seriously. And then
Very important. Yeah.
coach these men how to become better lovers. You mentioned overcome some of the challenges that some of them may face, such as, for example, erectile dysfunction or whatever. This would be, I'm just sharing out loud what is coming to my mind right now. And one thing I learned in life, especially the past few years, is listen to that voice, because that voice is your soul talking to you. Your soul has two purposes: keep you safe, alive, and protect you, and then guide you. So for someone like you, it came obvious to me that, hey, this would be a phenomenal and extremely fulfilling, line of work for you to go and help these men and become a specialist to help these men to really embrace their sexuality, their masculinity, become better lover, overcome whatever challenges they may face, so they can they can be successful in that area of their lives as well, along with their careers and personal and fitness and all that. What are your thoughts about that?
Brilliant. Yes, exactly. And this is exactly what I was doing, at the end of that last career, was supporting in all of those ways, because yes, I do understand, having been with so many men and connecting with them and just knowing, and this is what this was the frustrating part for me with my husband, because he had this idea like, oh, they just want one thing, they're just after this, it's all about sex. And it's just like, and he was very, aggressive and defensive towards other men. And I was just like, that's not how it is. These men are amazing, sensitive, wildly freaking sensitive beings that just are in need of love, and they're dealing with so much wounding around so much so much. The sexuality is one piece, but and they're looking for a connection, and we've all just been so shut down. Our hearts are so shut down, and we don't know how to climb back out of it. And something around like sexuality is just so loaded with so many issues. And so I don't know, I've seen a different side. I know what people think about the escorting, that it was just all about this sex and using women and stuff. And it's like, it's absolutely not like that. And that's not my experience of men. I love men. They're amazing. And yes, any way to support them and support women. I mean, we're all in this together. We all need this support. So thank you so much for saying that. And yes, if anybody out there is hearing this and you need support in this
You're
way,
welcome.
please reach out, because I would be honored to support you on your path.
I will connect you with two women, phenomenal women I've had on my podcast. One, I just released one of her episodes just recently. I will connect you to her, Linda Gross. Long story short, she was married happily, and then she divorced, and then she started to blog about it, one blog a day for years, and the blog became widely successful. And then that turned into a book, and the book turned into a podcast. And now she's the coach for men. She's coaching men to become the best partner they can be. I have a feeling. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I know that you two can combine your experiences together to co-create even bigger impact out there. I was connected to her and another lady
Excellent.
as
Thank
well
you.
that I had earlier a year ago. She worked in the sex industry, and she's teaching couples how to have cosmic sex, and incredible. So I will connect you to these two ladies. Maybe even, for example,
Awesome.
for you, you could, I don't know, just thinking out loud, helping women that are currently in the sex industry, trying to make them understand and help them to use that as a leverage, to use those knowledge, those gifts, those wisdom, those lessons that they're learning in that, and maybe help them better handle that. And even maybe if they're ready to get out of that, that would be another massive opportunity for you, because you've been there. You understand what is a challenge, what is a daily life and all that. You understand that better than anyone. You speak the language, you understand the pain point. And they're looking for someone, because when we hire a coach, we're not looking for a billionaire because you're completely disconnected from our reality. We're looking for someone who's 1, 2, or 3, or at most 4 steps ahead of us, who's currently or has been just recently walking our shoes, and who is accessible. And you are that person, So that would be another phenomenal opportunity for you to help these women. Now
Yeah.
it's just like a buffet. Just choose your dish.
Right? Yeah. I love that. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I feel a lot of things are falling apart for me, and new things are emerging. And it's stuff like this. I knew that coming on here and talking about this was a pivotal piece of my experience right now and where I'm moving. I know that this sexuality is where my heart really is, and supporting us around that. So, and yes, at the end too, I was also working to bring more consciousness into the women that were in my profession as well. And yes, supporting, and there's some other amazing women that are doing this work and really supporting. I mean, there's some lovely communities. It's not what people think. I mean, sure, some of it is what people think, but there's a lot that's not what people think, so there's a lot of consciousness there too, and awakening, especially now. So thank you for all of that, and thank you for this opportunity
Welcome.
to come on here and share this piece of my story, because it is still kind of fresh and new for me to be putting it out there. I mean, I mention it in my blogs, and I've talked about it on YouTube a bit, but I haven't known exactly how to like fully bring it, like what that looks like. So but you're giving me some excellent ideas, and I know they're coming in right now. I know this is a piece, so this is very
Absolutely.
exciting to return to that work after my husband left 5 months ago, and
Oh,
now all of this is coming back into my world now, this sexuality piece that is really like really a big piece of my heart, and where my energies, my passion and my purpose are, so it's after some grieving of that, now it's starting to emerge and move and flow back into the truth of me, the essence of me, which is that conscious sexuality piece. So I love it. I'm so excited. It feels glorious and delicious.
yeah.
Mm.
It's a great place to be excited about and having multiple choices, because it's exciting. And then, one thing I noticed over the years, 3 years now, and counting on my podcast, talking with people, after listening to them after only 5, 10 minutes, I tell them, oh, wow, did you realize this? Maybe you should focus there, because sometimes we don't value our gifts, our skills, because for us, it's a second nature. It's nothing special, but it takes an unbiased pair of eyes to say, wow, this is your zone of genius. I've had that happen so many times, and even myself, for example, for my own, I have skills that I'm good at, but for me, they're nothing special, because that's who I am. And when people see that, they hear about them, say, wow, maybe you should focus on that. So
Yes.
that's why, you just mentioned that. And listen to that voice, because when you hear that voice, you're hearing it because it is the time. You're ready for
Yeah.
it. You know.
I know. I know.
So
I
if you
feel it.
feel that, embrace it and run with it. Don't hold it back.
Yes.
Don't suppress it. And in the process, you will be able to impact a lot of people, to build wonderful relationships in the process. And who knows, maybe meet the love of your life. And this time, someone actually is on the same page, same frequency as you, on the same mission.
You know what? That's exactly what's coming in. I know I've had a couple of
Amen.
readings lately, and it's coming. I know. And I'm just, because it's part of me, I'm just like, no, 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 I'm not going to have to choose again. I'm not going to have to choose again. And then I was just like, no, you're not going to have to choose again. Actually, you're going to have somebody who fully supports you in what you're doing. So, fully for real this time. So that's very exciting. I know. I know. So, yes.
Put yourself out there, share your story. And we talked about that before, you know, from my personal experience and experience of countless of my clients, because it changed my life, it changes their life. The best way to do so, to put your story out there and to connect heart to heart with exact people that resonate with your message, is through this. Get your podcast. And when you're ready, I'm here to welcome you with open arms. Because seriously,
Excellent.
this is something that it's a no-brainer for a podcast. You can
Yes.
talk about, if you want, we can schedule another call next week, so I can tell you, lay out the map out for you exactly how you can take this and how you can monetize it from day one.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that seriously, because it's, for me, it's, I see it crystal clear. And this, I see it as the way to really catapult you to where you're meant to be, to amplify your impact, and most importantly, to connect with the right people, the people that really not only resonate with your message, but need your help. Need your help,
Yes.
and most importantly, that they're able to pay you accordingly.
Right.
So
Awesome.
yeah, let's do that sometime next week. You have my Calendly, book a time, and I'd be happy
Okay.
to help you with that. Do you have any
Great.
parting tips right now for any men or women we may be listening to this? I mean, not now, but in the future we'll listen to this when it's live, when it's posted.
Yeah, I just want to say that our sexuality is freaking gorgeous and amazing, and it's a wonderful capacity that we have as human beings to enjoy ourselves sexually, to feel that sexual pleasure and to have that sexual energy. And when I talk about sexuality, I'm not just saying like sex with another person, or even that means having sex. You know, sexual energy shows up in a number of different ways. And I'm just so passionate about us loving that part of ourselves and releasing the shame and the trauma
Yeah.
around all of that. That is not our energy. It is not ours. We've taken on these belief systems from other sources. It's not ours. And yeah, yeah, let's get out from underneath that crap.
Now, why suppress something that feels so freaking good? It's
Because
counter.
of that. Yeah,
Yeah. You-
yeah, if you're
and
wanting to control it, people,
sex
take
is
that
our
away.
connection with the universe. It's the, you know, divine connection at the highest, at the highest and the most basic form.
You know what I want to say when you just said that, you know, something that feels so good, you
Yeah.
know, for a lot of people, it doesn't, you know, and especially for women, it doesn't feel good. So that I just want to honor that, because a lot of women feel like there's something wrong with them when they're not enjoying it and they're not feeling pleasure. So if that's where you're at, for if you're listening to this, then there's nothing wrong at all. There's a lot of other heavy influences that are happening right now that you're working with, that you've taken on from elsewhere. So you know, if it's not pleasurable for you, there's nothing wrong with you, and that's okay. And so I just want to put that out there, because yeah.
You know, you can
Yeah.
also help these women or even the man that are unable to enjoy sex. Hey, just by unblocking
Exactly.
whatever mental block is holding them back, because that's
Yes.
where it's
Yes.
at. You know, there's a saying that says the most powerful sexual organ is the brain.
Oh
That's
my
what
gosh,
happens.
absolutely. Yes. And it's that emotional connection as well. So
Yes.
yeah, if we're disconnected from our bodies, we're not feeling pleasure. We're not in
Yeah.
it. It can be painful. It can be very uncomfortable. So I just want to honor that for people, and that can be men too. Everyone thinks that
Yeah.
men just like having a great time, just getting off whenever and however. It's like, no, that's a myth.
Anxiety,
That's not
stress. Oh,
true.
yeah. Yeah.
There's so much. So yeah, so yeah, come see me if you need help with any of that.
Yeah. Exactly. Speaking of that, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, right now through, again, www.healingsacredfeminine.com. And from there, you can contact me at my on the contact page. There's all my social links there, Facebook, Instagram. I'm more active on Facebook right now. So yeah, there. Oh, and YouTube. I have a lot of videos on YouTube. So check
What's your
those
YouTube
out.
channel?
It's Healing Sacred Feminine. Yeah, should be. With
Okay.
yeah, because they allow you to put your own little name on there now. So yeah, Healing Sacred Feminine. Yep.
All right. And if anyone out there sees like a colorful shuttle bus running around, with an attractive driver, hey, I might be her, Say hi to
That's
her.
me. Yeah, you can follow my adventures on Instagram. I try to post regularly, but I don't know, not the best at it. So I'm
What's
working
your
on
Instagram?
that. Empowering Sacred Feminine.
All right. Send me all your links. I will add them in the show notes to help you connect with people. Listen, Saidi, absolute honor, blast. We've been talking for almost 2 hours. It just flew away. I love talking to you.
Really?
Anytime, an hour and a half on the pod. Anytime you want to come
Great.
back and talk about anything, my doors are wide open for you
Okay.
because, we're having beautiful conversation. Listen, I salute you. You're a true leader with a heart. You're fulfilling your life's mission now, and by enlightening and helping and guiding, mentoring, coaching these men and women to better embrace the sexuality and to fully enjoy it, because sex is meant to be, to be enjoyed. It's one of the greatest things ever. It's one of the most basic needs we have, just like eating, breathing, drinking. By drink, I mean water,
Yeah.
just basic survival needs, and keep doing it, keep shining your light, keep blessing the world with your presence, your impact, your smile, your vision, your mission, your stories. Stay safe, stay awesome. God bless you, my friend. Talk to you very soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.